Good morning. It's Sunday, June 28th. And we'll start off by saying that Iran is still in the news. And it's still pretty much the same story. They sign ceasefire agreements, and then they fire on each other. And then they talk about ceasefire again, and then more firing. So after Iran fired on the ship in the Strait, we attacked a bunch of their drone caves where they keep their drones. And so I'm sure they're going to talk again after all this fighting happens. And then they'll probably agree to a ceasefire and then fire again. Okay, enough of Iran. I'm getting tired of that. Texas becomes the first state to include Bible stories as required reading in schools, affecting about 5.5 million public school students. In 2025, Texas also passed a bill requiring public schools to display the Ten Commandments in classrooms. Despite legal pushback, the measure was ultimately upheld by a Fifth Circuit court. Some people think the Constitution has in it the phrase separation of church and state, yet it does not appear anywhere in the Constitution. Personally, I'm against this. And the reason I'm against it is because other religions, like Islamic, can start pushing for the Quran to be read. I don't want that happening. I think that would be bad for school children. And if you're going to allow one religion in, what seems like you would have to allow other religions. So it's bad. I don't believe in separation of church and state, but what the Constitution does say is that the government, well, I don't know what the Constitution says, but it's something like the government should not have any control over religion. But that doesn't mean put religion in the schools. If I want my child to learn about religion, I'll take them to church, the church of my choosing, not the religion that the state decides to teach the children. I think that's wrong. I think we're opening a can of worms there. In 79 AD, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius buried the Roman city of Pompeii. During a dig in a bordering town, archaeologists found 1,800 papyrus scrolls in an ancient library that was buried. But reading them was impossible. The scrolls are brittle and charred, and unraveling them turned them into ash. For nearly 2 millennia, many of these texts have been physically preserved, but intellectually inaccessible. After years of interdisciplinary work, combined with advanced imaging and artificial intelligence, we're finally able to read them. It should be fascinating to hear what's on those scrolls. So that might take a while, but that'll be interesting. It's been 3 days since Venezuela earthquakes. Time is running out to find remaining survivors in the rubble. The death toll hits at least 920. Americans are in the country working hard to find possible remaining survivors. They are using concrete busting machines and listening devices to find the survivors. The rescuers have saved 249 people so far. Bravo, guys. Way to go. From Alaska to Florida, crews worked Saturday to contain dozens of fires. 3 dozen that were classified as large and uncontained. Nationally, nearly 3 million acres have burned since the start of the year. That's more than the 10-year average. Colorado Governor Jared Polis declared an emergency on Saturday. He authorized the use of the National Guard to fight the fires. The conditions in Utah were critical enough for Governor Spencer Cox to declare an emergency earlier this week and clear the way for the state to ban fireworks for the upcoming 4th of July holiday. The order comes as Utah is experiencing one of the most severe wildfire seasons in recent history. Current drought conditions are making things even worse. Parts of northern Arizona were without power Saturday because utilities servicing the area utilized a safety shutoff in hopes of lessening the wildfire risk. Power shutoffs have become more common in the West as wildfire risk has expanded. You know, they're talking about it, wildfire risk expanding. There has been more fires lately. And I remember about, 5-10 years ago, they were saying that Islamic Jihad were communicating with their people here in America that, what's it called? Economic Jihad, I think they call it, where they start fires to cause hardship economically on America. It's part of a way that they could attack us. And it's pretty interesting how we're getting all these fires lately. Not just wildfires, but warehouses and refineries. So the news isn't saying anything. They're not calling it terrorism. But I'm just, in the back of my mind, I wonder. AI water usage is becoming a big thing. Google says a typical AI query uses 5 drops of water. Well, that's nothing, 5 drops, huh? OpenAI's Sam Altman says a similar amount, about 1/15 of a teaspoon. Can you imagine that? 1/15 of a teaspoon. That's hardly anything. They're telling us how much water is used for a typical AI query. What does that mean? How many queries in a month? We need to know the total usage. These guys think they're tricking us. Researchers project the total amount of water used could grow from the current usage, 228 billion gallons, to between 469 billion and 844 billion gallons by 2028. That's only a year and a half away. That's 2 to 4 times the water being used currently by AI data centers. And the water being used currently is an issue to many people. There's many fights going on in city council and county council meetings already, and the water usage is going to go up considerably. So that should be in the news more as we go. So that's the news for today. It's Sunday, so I have a short news broadcast. Everybody take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon.